you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you. Roll call, supervisors.
Twenty supervisors are present. Supervisor Pierce, Boyd Frederick, and Gully are excused.
Citizens' comments. Any citizens wishing to speak have one opportunity to speak for 5 minutes. Provide the name and address for the record before making their comments. Anybody wishing to speak, step up to the podium. Anybody wishing to speak? If not, citizens' comments are closed. Thank you. I have a couple announcements to make. On my far right is Ben Rodoff, Youth and Governance. He's been on the Legislative Committee for the past year, and I understand he applied again for this coming year. We don't know at this point if he's on there or not, but at least he applied. He enjoyed it so much. Thank you for serving, too. I'd like to take a moment of silence to honor Detective Jeff Bliss, longtime employee of the Sheriff's Department, who passed away and was buried today. Thank you. Supervisor reports. Supervisor Palmville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two things this evening. One, I would first like to speak to the board and those here in the room this evening, and just a good evening to my fellow board members, the county exec, and our county staff. I'd like to personally thank you all for all we've accomplished together over the last 2 years. We made our community a better place, and I'm grateful to have been a part of this. It was an honor and privilege to have been District 20 supervisor through some very challenging times, and those challenges, though, never deterred us from accomplishments that were both numerous, historical, and significant, and will benefit our Kenosha for many years to come. No, I am greatly vested in the wellness of our community, and I look forward to many more years in service to Kenosha County. If there's any way I can be of a service or assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd also like to congratulate both our new and returning board members and our new county exec Kirkman and her staff, and I personally wish you all a very happy and healthy 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Berg.
I'd like to speak to a supervisor today who's leaving us, who spent over 30 years with us. So I'll start with Ronnie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. I met Ronnie in 2016 when I first joined the board. Little did I know that he has put a few thousand hours here at the county. Ron taught a lot of things to me. He taught me that it doesn't matter if you upset your peers. If they're upset because you were doing good for those that elected us, then in the long run, your peers will be just fine. He often spoke about the change in health insurance that he was a part of. How some of the board members were mad because they were using the health insurance, using taxpayer dollars to better themselves. He also speaks about how times have changed, that there was no partisanship. Yes, board members would argue, but after the gavel fell, they would go out for drinks and enjoy each other's company. I had the pleasure of sitting next to Ronnie for the past 4 years. There doesn't fail to be a day that sometime throughout the board meeting, Ronnie is going to lean over to me and say, "What did he say?" Because of this, I learned a lot quicker. The happenings and processes of the county because I not only heard what was being said, but I also had to recite it back to Ronnie. Ron served this very county for over 32 years as both a supervisor and as a treasurer. We should all be thankful for the foundation that he has built for us and for us to continue to build for our county. I remember during the budget hearings of 2016, the meeting was going late and Ronnie got fed up. He stood up and in Ronnie fashion said, "There will be plenty of budgets in the future, but I've been waiting 84 years for a Cubs World Series. Pass the budget, I'm leaving." Aside from the Cubs, he dearly loves his Green Bay Packers. He's often joked with me about how much better the Packers are than my team, the Bears. But he also speaks about how bad they were in the 70s and 80s. That's what is so wonderful about Ron, is he is level-headed and looks at both sides of a topic before making his final decision. Well, Ronnie, on behalf of many in this room right now, and because of the many years you served the county residents, and because of the lessons you taught to Ed, Boyd, myself, and many other supervisors, past and present and current, we want to present you with 4 tickets to the Packers season next year. They are digital, so I'll have to send them to you when I get them. But thank you, Ronnie.
Any other supervisors want to follow that? Supervisor reports are closed.
New business, ordinance, 1 reading, ordinance 26 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Doselda Farms LLP owner, Eric Christensen, agent, requesting a rezoning A2 General Agricultural District, C2 Upland Resource Conservancy District, and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District to A2 General Agricultural District, R1 Rural Residential District, C2 Upland Resource Conservancy District, and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District, Town of Brighton. The ordinance passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gaschke, on the ordinance. Moved by Supervisor Gaschke, second by Supervisor Mauer. Supervisor Gaschke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This particular property actually has 6 items on our agenda tonight, all related to the same property and the same purpose. So ordinances 26 through 29, and then later tonight, resolutions 131 and 132, again, all related to this same development and same project. As was mentioned, this is a rezoning and a comprehensive plan change. The reason that it's 6 items is that it's actually split. This property is split on 2 sides of the highway. So there's 2 ordinances and a resolution for one side of the highway, 2 ordinances and 1 resolution for the other side. Again, passed our committee with full support, and we ask for your support tonight. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Ordinance 27 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Dosedla Farms LLP owner Eric Christensen, agent, requesting an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan from the general agricultural and open land and SEC to general agricultural and open land, rural density residential, and SEC, Town of Brighton. Passed unanimously at the committee.
Supervisor Gaschke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ordinance 27.
Moved by Supervisor Gaschke, second by Supervisor Beth. Supervisor Gaschke.
Thank you. Our committee asks for your support again tonight.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Ordinance 28 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Dosedla Farms LLP owner Eric Christensen, agent, requests an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan from farmland protection and SEC to general agricultural and open land and SEC, Town of Brighton, passed unanimously at the committee.
Supervisor Gasky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ordinance 28.
Moved by Supervisor Gasky, second by Supervisor Nudo. Supervisor Gasky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Same property that we've been discussing, and we ask for your support tonight. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Ordinance 29 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Dosedla Farms LLP owner Eric Christensen, agent, requests a rezoning from A1 Agricultural Preservation District, C2 Upland Resource Conservancy District, and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District to A2 General Agricultural District, C2 Upland Resource Conservancy District, and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District, Town of Brighton. Ordinance passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gasky on the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ordinance 29.
Moved by Supervisor Gasky, second by Supervisor Rodriguez. Supervisor Gasky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the final ordinance on the Dosedla Farms, and again, we ask for your support tonight. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Ordinance 30 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Russell Weiss Trust, owner, PDEC sponsor, requesting a rezoning from C2 Upland Resource Conservancy District to C2 Upland Resource Conservancy District and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District in Town of Brighton. Passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gasky on the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ordinance 30.
Motion by Supervisor Gasky, second by Supervisor Mauer. Supervisor Gasky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now, this is a different property, the Weiss property in Brighton. They are planning to subdivide a 20-acre lot into two 10-acre lots, a mixture of wooded land and wetlands for single-family residences. This passed Brighton, this passed our committee, and we ask for your support tonight.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Ordinance 31 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Haskins LLC owner, Mark Larkin, agent, requesting a rezoning from A1 Agricultural Preservation District to B5 Wholesale Trade and Warehousing District and R2 Suburban Single-Family Residential District, Town of Wheatland. Passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gasky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ordinance 30.
Moved by Supervisor Gasky, second by Supervisor Beth. Supervisor Gasky on the motion.
31, excuse me. Yes, this is the Haskins property in Wheatland, and this is going to be a mixed use here. They're splitting off a house for residential use, splitting off a barn area for business use, and then sectioning off an area of fields, which may have future development, but that's not before us tonight. This did pass the town of Wheatland, and this passed our committee, and we ask for your support tonight. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution, one reading. Resolution 125 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution to return property at 410 Sheridan Road to previous owner. It passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Resolution 125.
Moved by Supervisor Gens, second by Supervisor Ron Frederick. Supervisor Gens on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a property at 410 Sheridan Road, which we took by tax deed in 2020, and they were still living in the property. We moved to evict them, and they sued the county for evicting them. We did prevail at the circuit court level, but there was also something going on with Mount Pleasant. They had another property there. So they're looking to sell that and use the proceeds and other money they may have to pay off all their debt and move forward and take the property back. When I first heard this, I was absolutely against it. But then, after I heard all the bonuses and pluses for the county, I thought that this was something that we really should do. They're going to bring the taxes fully current. They're going to pay taxes that would have been due had they continuously owned the property. So while we owned it for 2 years, we're going to tax them for those 2 years. Pay all the costs and fees associated with both tax deed and litigation. Escrow $25,000 to ensure future taxes are paid. This was critical to me, because if they hadn't been paying them, why would they pay them even if they got current? Then they could just go back into it. Well, now we've got 4 to 5 years of taxes in escrow that we can hold to pay those. They will be required to clean up the property, working with the DNR in the Village of Summers, required to file inspection reports demonstrating compliance with Summers Fire Code, and required to reline sewer and water connections, working with Summers. The estimated total payment to the county will be about $81,557.22. It returns the property to the tax rolls with a guarantee of future taxes being paid for the next 4 to 5 years. Prevents us from having to maintain and sell the property. So, for those reasons, after we had discussed this at Finance and approved it unanimously, we ask for your support this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Grady?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These cases are somewhat unusual in the sense that once the county takes back property, it's kind of a one-way street, and it's disposed of via auction, bidding, whatever the case may be. And I do recall a situation happening in the past 2 years here where on the west end there was a person that wanted to reclaim their property from the tax deed process. So this is now happening again. I realize that times are difficult in many situations where people are trying to make ends meet, paying taxes and so forth. But through the chair to either head of finance, Mr. Gens, or to administration, do we have any other similar things in the pipeline? Are we entertaining any further situations such as these? If someone can answer that question.
Supervisor Grady, I know of none. And it is a rare occurrence, but with them paying all this and escrowing that, I thought that was a benefit to the county. But there are none in the pipeline that I know of.
Do we have anybody from administration? Do we have a treasurer? Anyone else here that can speak to that?
If I may, Supervisor Grady, in addition, and something that Supervisor Gens didn't mention, the reason that this was brought to our attention, I mean, as Supervisor Gens indicated, we've been in litigation with these previous owners for a couple of years now, trying to resolve the situation. About 2-3 months ago, we got out of the blue a phone call from Racine County. Previous owners have family or relatives that have property in Racine County. They've been dealing with Racine County and with the Village of Mount Pleasant to resolve the property issue there. I think it may be related to the Foxconn corridor. I think it may be the last property there. Mm-hmm. We had been asked by Racine County whether we would essentially, as a favor to them, to help them resolve their matter, resolve this one here as well. So it is an extraordinarily unique set of circumstances. I'm not aware of any other situations like this. It certainly, from my standpoint, is non-precedential. I do think ultimately it is to the county's benefit, and that's why our office, working with the various departments, put this forward and made this recommendation. But again, I'm not aware of any other situations like this that are before us.
Okay, thank you for your explanation. And I do think in this case, Finance did its due diligence as well as Corp Counsel, and I will support this. There's no issue with that. It's more just the idea of this, is this now becoming the new de facto norm, or is this again just a one-of? So I guess the answer is it's a one-of, so thank you for your explanation.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays?
Resolution carries. Resolution 126 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution for the appointment of Ms. Jane Sandberg to serve on the Commission on Aging and Disability Services. Passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Beth excused.
Supervisor Belsky. Hold on a second, let me get you here.
I move Resolution 126.
Moved by Supervisor Belsky, second by Supervisor Berg. Supervisor Belke?
Upon further review of the application and the fine print within the application, I find that it is incomplete, and I'd like to make a motion to defer this back to committee.
Right, moved and seconded to refer. Any discussion? Supervisor Rose.
I'd like to have a little more information. I thought we were given the information that was necessary for approval, and it was approved by all those present. What's the problem?
In fine print, Supervisor Rose, the appointee, or she is unable to attend meetings. In the fine print, she put that due to COVID, she can only attend virtually, which would disqualify her for attendance to these meetings. And she also had an incomplete application.
So from here on in, because of illness, she is not able to attend for the term, for the next 6 months, or what?
It was really left open. She said that she self-quarantines.
All right. Does she know this is being referred back to the committee?
No, and I'll give Director Jansen a call in the morning.
All right,
Okay?
all right.
Any other discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's referred back.
Resolution 127 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution for the appointment of Supervisor Andy Berg to serve on the Racine Kenosha Community Action Agency Board. Passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Berg abstained. Supervisor Beth excused.
Supervisor Belsky. I'll second. I'll second it for you. On the motion.
I would like to recommend approval for the appointment of Andy Berg to the Racine Kenosha Community Action Agency. I believe his qualifications speak for themselves. I ask for your vote this evening.
Any discussion other than Supervisor Berg?
For obvious reasons, I'll be abstaining.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 128 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee and Finance Administration Committee, a resolution approving the 2021 Homeland Security WEM Ren Fair Full-Scale Active Shooter Exercise Grant. Passed unanimously by both committees. Supervisors Boyd Frederick and Gully excused.
Supervisor Palmville on the motion.
128.
Moved by Supervisor Palmville, second by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Palmville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution 128 is requesting approval for a grant award for $27,754 from the Wisconsin Emergency Management and the Department of Homeland Security for costs associated with hosting a full-scale active shooter exercise at the Renaissance Fairgrounds in Bristol. This grant is 100% funded with no impact to the tax levy. It passed unanimously in the Judiciary and Law and Finance and Administration Committees, and we ask for the board's support this evening.
All right, this takes a two-thirds majority. We'll take a roll call vote, please.
Resolution passes unanimously. Resolution 129 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee and Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution approving the additional bank account for the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department. Passed unanimously by both committees. Supervisors Boyd Frederick and Gully excused.
Supervisor Palmville.
I move Resolution 129.
Moved by Supervisor Palmville, second by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Palmville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution 129 is a request from the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department for an additional bank account to be opened with Johnson Bank for the purpose of holding unclaimed funds from evidence. Funds shall be held in a non-interest-bearing checking account until either claimed by the owner or as per Kenosha County statutes turned over to the county treasurer. This resolution passed unanimously in the Judiciary and Law and Finance and Administration Committees, and we ask for the board's support this evening.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 130 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee and Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution approving the Kenosha County Tavern League donation to Kenosha County Sheriff's Department K-9 program. Passed unanimously by both committees. Supervisor Boyd Frederick and Gully excused.
Supervisor Palmville.
I move Resolution 130.
Moved by Supervisor Palmville, second by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Palmville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution 130 is to accept the donation from the Kenosha County Tavern League of $20,000 to the Kenosha County Sheriff Departments and approve the revenue and expenditure line item modifications to the Sheriff's 2022 budget. It increases revenue by $20,000 and increases expenses by the same. This resolution requires no additional funds from the general fund. So will be provided to help support the replacement of an anticipated retirement of a current duty K-9 and equipment associated with the K-9 program. This resolution passed unanimously in the Judiciary and Law and Finance and Administration Committees, and we ask for the board's support this evening.
Thank you. We'll take a roll call vote on this also.
Resolution 130 passes unanimously. Resolution 131 from Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, a resolution regarding Dosedla Farms LLP owner Eric Christensen, agent, requesting an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County, 2035. Map 65 of the comprehensive plan from general agricultural and open land and SEC to general agricultural and open land, rural density residential, and SEC, Town of Brighton. Resolution passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gaske.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Resolution 131.
Moved by Supervisor Gaske, second by Supervisor Maurer. Supervisor Gaske.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this is the same Dosedla Farms property in Brighton that we made decisions on with ordinances 26 through 29. Resolution 131, which is before us now, as well as 132, which is to follow, are simply to complete this process of the comprehensive plan and the rezone. We ask for your support tonight. This was supported by our committee and the town of Brighton. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 132 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, a resolution regarding Dosedla Farms LLP owner Eric Christensen, agent, requests an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County, 2035. Map 65 of the comprehensive plan from farmland protection and SEC to general agricultural and open land and SEC, Town of Brighton. Passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gaske.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Resolution 132.
Moved by Supervisor Gaske, second by Supervisor Beth. Supervisor Gaske on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution 132 is the final piece of the puzzle for the Dosedla Farm tonight. This is simply the other side of the highway. Again, we ask for your support tonight. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
The approval of the April 6, 2022 regular county board meeting minutes by Supervisor Rose.
Supervisor Rose,
I would move the approval of the minutes.
second by. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Motion by Supervisor to adjourn Sendai. Ron Frederick? Second by Supervisor Berg. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Thank you.
We'll take a short break, about 5 minutes, for the outgoing supervisors and for the new supervisors to come and